Okay, so what is water pollution? So water pollution is the addition of harmful chemicals to our natural water. We're going to talk about different ways that this occurs. So some sources of water pollution in the United States include industrial waste, runoff from fields that are treated with chemical fertilizers, and runoff from areas that have been mined. We talked about mining a little bit yesterday, and that you see a lot of up north, and especially back years and years ago. So we're going to talk about two different types, point source and non-point source. So point source pollution is a contamination that enters the environment through a specific traceable means. So it means that we can trace where that came from, okay? We can trace where it came from. So an example would be a sewage plant pipe or cold ash ponds. The opposite is true of non-point source pollution, okay? So this doesn't have a specific point of origin. So we don't know exactly where it came from. So it results from things like land runoff, precipitation, atmospheric deposition, drainage, or seepage, okay? So we do not know the source, the exact source. Whereas in point source, we can trace it back to where it came from. So some other non-point source examples are stormwater runoff, arsenic from mining, okay, sediment from land runoff, and we have seen the word runoff a lot. We talked about it when we did the water cycle and started this unit. But it's any water that does not infiltrate into the ground. So any water that doesn't go into the ground is runoff, okay? So how do we reduce point and non-point source pollution? Okay, we use fertilizer and pesticides according to the package directions. So that means we do not overuse it or use too much. We have septic tank systems inspected every 2 to 3 years, okay? Because this also can cause pollution. We conserve our sprinkler water. Never dump anything down a storm drain. Everybody know what a storm drain is? What's a storm drain? Where do you see them? Where do you see them? Okay, on the roads, right? It could be right in front of a sidewalk or right in front of your house, okay? So don't dump anything down those. And also make sure that you pick up after your pets, okay? A lot of people just let their dogs, for example, go to the bathroom and they don't clean up after them, okay? Pet waste that's left on the ground can spread things like E. coli, roundworms, and salmonella, okay? Eventually, it like disintegrates, I guess you could say. You know what I'm talking about. But where is it at? On the what? On the ground, right? And so we have to be very, very careful of that. So how do pollutants move through the water supply? Okay, so they move through a water supply along with the water. So as the water is moving, the pollutants are moving with it. So as water moves towards the ocean, okay, pollutants build up and they can become more concentrated because as it's flowing and they're moving with it, okay, it's eventually all going to collect in an area. So those can become more concentrated. It can also pick up more as it moves along the way. So some population effects on water quantity. Okay, communities across the country are starting to face challenges in maintaining healthy and affordable water supplies. So an increase in population size means that there is less water per person. So if there's only supposed to be so many people in an area and we have enough water for those people, and then more people come into the area, that means there's now less water per person. So some methods of conservation, ways we can conserve water: water barrels, turning off the faucet. I know I have a bad habit of that, and my husband will actually come over and shut the faucet off when I'm washing dishes. Or if I'm rinsing something off to put in the dishwasher, I'll leave the water running because I just don't think about it sometimes. And he'll come over and he'll click it to shut it off. So we have to be very, very careful of that. Another thing, when I think of turning off the faucet, brushing your teeth. When you brush your teeth, who leaves the water running? Anybody? Y'all shut it off when you brush your teeth? No. Okay. So I used to not shut it off either, but I shut it off now because that's one of those things that I've learned as I've gotten older. Another thing, and this could be difficult for some people, but some people get in the shower, turn on the faucet, get wet, then they shut it off, then they scrub up, and then they turn it back on, right? And rinse off. Some people, like myself, do not do that, and the water runs the whole time, okay? But those are some ways that we can conserve water. Shorter showers. I know that when I go back to Pennsylvania to visit, Lord, can my nieces take some long showers, because they love taking showers at my parents' house because the water is like super, super hot. But cutting down on shower time. We can ration water. Okay, so we only use so much here, so much there. And then watering plants at night or in the early morning. And Mrs. Ibarra is not good at watering plants, period. No green thumb. All right, so as populations grow rapidly, health standards find it difficult to keep up. That looks pretty nasty up there, huh? In that glass of water. So this leads to an increase in waterborne illnesses as pollutants build up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. The building up. So there are what are known as wastewater treatment systems. So the major aim of a wastewater treatment is to remove suspended solids before the remaining water is discharged back to the environment. So there could still be other contaminants in there, but they try to dispose of the solids. So treatment facilities are unable to filter out all contaminants, but they do their very best to get what they can. So the drinking water treatment system removes small and large sediments from the water. The water is forced through filters to remove the smallest particles that they can. And then there's also removal of biological contaminants. So it goes through a series of steps to try to get rid of as many contaminants as possible. Does anybody have questions?